All right, so it is May May 2nd, 2020. May 2nd, 2020. 5:45 p.m. I'm in Oroville, California. I've been making these videos, and I don't know when. Let's see, it's been like since 2016. So the reason I started these videos was to clear some hearsay stuff, and then talk about the present. I think the last time I made some of these was in 2018 sometime, and then I made a few here and there, but I want to continue these to finish. And so while I've been making these, I've been having to, a lot of crazy shit's been happening in the world, so it's kind of weird. During the time that I've been making the videos, which you guys can watch on YouTube, to the ones to now, like a lot of crazy stuff in Butte counties happened, and then currently COVID-19, which is lockdown, on people, I guess, around the world for some kind of virus that is like the flu, I guess. And so, needless to say, should be needless to say that making these videos have been kind of secondary. My personal life compared to what's going on worldwide is a little different. So I've shared a few of my theories of current events and then personal stuff. One has been Hollywood stuff. So lately I've been watching all these movies that are pretty crazy. The last one I just watched so far was the Watchmen series. I haven't finished them, but that by itself with the racial stuff and has been pretty crazy. I wrote the G-Man. I wrote like some novel stuff, some prose about scarcity stuff, tales of scarcity stuff, including the G-Man, and then some of the stories, continuing the stories that me and my brother started a while ago, and trying to put them in the word format because it just take too long to draw everything out. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do in these next few videos. Currently, since I think it's been like 2 months since I was let to use a space downtown Oroville to paint, to finish, to use them for my paintings by Brian, which is a business owner around downtown, Chinese guy, American Chinese guy that has like a mainstay restaurant in downtown, Tong Fong Lo's, which I had met, I don't know, at the beginning of the year, 2020. So while I've been in downtown while I've been in Oroville, you know, I go to the coffee shops, and I draw or write, which I have some videos on there on YouTube and stuff. Um, so let's see. I was working at, what do you call that? It's been crazy. I can't get into everything, but one of the last main events was working at the, what is that called? It's like a secondhand store, not the, oh yeah, the Goodwill in Oroville. They opened up a Goodwill in Oroville, which at the beginning of the store they hired me to, well, I've been doing 2015, all this moving around stuff started for me. You know, a little bit before that, but 2015 is when it really went. When I went to the Bay Area and started working over there, and while I was working over there, you know, I learned a lot of stuff, which I kind of went over, I think, and so I learned a lot about some personal stuff, but again, a lot of Hollywood stuff and local stuff happened, right? So before that, I went to a couple conventions in like 2000. It's been so long. 2004-ish, 2004, when I was working, when I was living up in Daly City with this one girl, and Daly City, and I was still hanging out with some dudes from Voice Magazine, Dan Seward from Paradise, California. So much stuff has happened, and you know, before I can talk about it, more stuff keeps happening. So it's like, you know, to put it all in perspective, it's been pretty tough. I've written my timeline for, without so much drama, but between my birth to 21-ish, or 18 to 18. So since from the 18, I was before I went to Butte College. So it was kind of my younger years. So I've been meaning to write through the 20s, and then all this stuff like that, right? So but between that, around 2014, has been pretty trippy, because all this stuff is in hindsight, right? Which actually pretty cool, because 2020 is you know, is a meaningful metaphor or whatever to understand what was going on, I guess, even during that time. And it goes on to, you know, further than I ever thought. So I don't, you know, this is just stuff that, a lot of change is happening. So you know, including YouTube. I didn't realize YouTube even really started till like 2007, I guess, or something, you know, so, or 2006 or whatever. So a lot of changes happening, and continues to happen, and I can't help but feel involved, and a little too much involved. But you know, I mean, how can you really talk about it when it's happening? So, but before whatever happens next, I just wanted to kind of finish these up. So most of my life I've been working as an artist, right? I've been making art, that's kind of what I do. So um, I had went to this one comic convention, right? I went to a few. I went to one a long time ago, which was in Yuba City, where I met Ron Lim. He was working on one of the Marvel books. I forget which Marvel book, but I had seen his work before on an indie book, which I barely remember right now. I had totally forgotten about it, but yeah. So, but I had got offered a job to draw some comic book stuff, but it was for like, you know, some weird stuff. Anyway, that's not what I was talking about. So the point was, I didn't take the job, but again, my goal was to work in comic books, and then eventually I wanted to start to do movies and stuff, which was kind of crazy because the two girls that I was with the longest in my life were the one girl that I had a son with she worked at a after we already met for a while. She had worked at this in this movie store in the old days when we used to rent videos, and I used to go get free movies once in a while. I was renting movies, it was like a $5 for $5 type of deal or something, 2 for $5 or something like that. So you rent these movies in the old days in the video store, and she worked there for a few months or whatever, and then, but that was kind of weird. Now that all this stuff is happening, and then I remember getting Fire and Ice from her, and then I used to get a bunch of like foreign movies, which was like Chinese, French movies, or they had a section there that was like really cool, and so those were the really good movies. So I was really into movies, first of all, for my whole life, but that time I remember watching all these really cool movies from over there. And then later in my life, after when I was around 27, that was like when I was 18, 19, I don't know, 18 maybe even, 18, 19. Anyway, so by the time I was 26, 27, I went to art school in San Francisco for a year. I got accepted into the Art Institute, San Francisco Art Institute, and I think the year before that, probably when I was like 25, I had met this girl, and this girl Miros and stuff, that I ended up living with for a bit and hanging out for a few years, for a lot of years actually. And then she was working in place Durham, where her family grew up, and which is between Oroville and Chico. And she was at a movie store, and some drama happened there, but that's nothing to do with me. But I ended up hanging out with her, and so that's kind of weird, I don't know if that means anything, but that was a weird coincidence. But during the time that I ended up getting with her, when I was like 27-ish, when I went to art school, I got with her, and then so then I started living with, that was like 2002. So 2004 was when, around 2004 was when we went to a comic book convention in San Diego with the Voice people. And then, I don't know, maybe 2005, me and her went to, first we went to a Rage Against, I don't know, around that same time we went to a Rage Against the Machine concert, which was cool, which was a festival, like a rap festival or whatever in SF. And but one of the other main events was the WonderCon in San Francisco, and that was cool because it was weird, right? So we go there, and as soon as we walk in, they give us free tickets to a movie premiere, and the movie premiere was 300, which I didn't know. So we ended up going to this movie premiere. Like as soon as we walk in, we get free tickets. So I don't know. It was like maybe a few hours after. So we go to this premiere. Director, I guess the director was there, which I didn't know anything about the movie. I knew 300, and I knew something that Frank Miller had wrote, the original graphic novel, but I wasn't familiar with the graphic novel. But so they show the movie, and and then the director comes out after the movie, and I had gotten like these Batman: The Dark Knight books, the series. I think I got 3 out of 4 of them. So I don't think I got number 2, but they were kind of older versions. They were like, used and stuff. So, but that wasn't. I was just cool. I was just happy to have the books because I had never, had. I was a fan of Frank Miller, and I never had those books, so it was cool. It was a cool find. But that was all I had. So when the director came out, did the movie, and then started talking, I was like, "What?" And then I asked him to sign the book, or sign. I needed him to get his autograph, and then so the dude I pull out number 1, Batman: Dark Knight #1, and then I was like, "Hey, can you sign?" And he was like, and it was Zack Snyder, right? So this guy's like, sure. He was like surprised, like, okay. And then he was like, "Cause this isn't in my book, right?" And I didn't make the connection really, the Frank Miller connection, but I just needed, I wanted a signature. He was famous, he made a movie, good movie, but I'll tell this next part later in a second. But so he does. So I have this #1 Dark Knight Returns signed by Zack Snyder, right? Which somehow it's somewhere else. I don't know where it is. My brother probably has it. But so it's somewhere in the world. And then during that talk, I remember Hilary Duff was making this Plague movie or whatever after her $1 Million Baby or whatever. And what was crazy about that, she was actually really good looking in real life. Like, I was with my girl that I was with, but I was kind of surprised that she was better looking than the movie that she was in. And I was like, well, so before Zach and the other guys came out to talk about 300, I was taking some photographs with my girlfriend's camera, and we walked up there, walked really close where you probably the fans can't go there, but I did see some media there. So that was weird, she looked and she was like, so that was kind of cool. I was like, oh, I was kind of surprised, that she even paid attention or whatever. But and then I remember this other girl, which I think might have been Zack Snyder's wife, but I don't know. But she kind of looked at me, it could have been just a reporter, but anyway, so what's weird about it, I feel bad now, or I felt bad. Well, I felt bad now, or after the fact, years after, I felt kind of maybe after after years and years later, I watched the movie again and I started liking it after George Bush was president and his run, because he was president during that time, I think, And after that run, after Obama, I watched the movie again and I thought it was pretty good. But during the time, where you can ask people the people on stage questions, and so I did, or comments or whatever. And I was like, and during the movie, I was kind of like, what the hell, like, it looked like a pro-war movie and pro-Iraq war movie for the soldiers, and I thought it was kind of racist by the portrayal of the black people and stuff being the bad guys. Before that, there was never black people's head getting cut off and all. It was kind of pretty intense. And so I was like, so I said that. I was like, hey, is there a racial reason that you did that and whatever? So this was weird because I was like, dude, my heart was beating. I was like, like, this is, flashing my light. My head was like zoning out, but I said what I said. I found the courage to say it, and as soon as I said that, they were like, whoa, the whole freaking thousands of people were like, boo, and I get it. But I was just like, damn, like, it was pretty intense, but I did say it. I feel bad because they gave us free tickets, but I didn't really think about that at the time. But I was kind of just like, and then I was like, why did Jesus Christ pose when the guy dies at the end? And they're like, oh, how many different ways can you fall down or whatever. So I thought there was some propaganda stuff in that movie, and Zack Snyder was like, it could be both from one point of view or other point of view. So, but I don't know. I think in the papers, San Francisco Chronicles, later I saw that somebody caught on to that, but at the time it was just like, it was not well received. And then I remember walking back and sitting down next to the girl, and I was like, oh, she, trying to make me feel better. I don't know if she agreed, but it was definitely pretty kind of embarrassing. I don't know, not embarrassing, but it was definitely like against the crowd, and it was just weird, man. But I did say what I said, and later now, and then he ended up making The Watchmen, which I had read the book before the movie, so I was like, not too long before the movie came out, I had read the book, so it was like, I was like, dude, it's such a great book. How So when I saw the movie, it was all right, but the book is just a masterpiece. And then now I just watched the series, which it's a whole different story than the book and the movie, but it's a continuation, and artistically it's amazing. Like, it's really like intense so far. I'm on this like one of the last episodes, but as far as filmmaking and story and relevancy, I think it's really intense. A lot of important issues they're discussing in it. So that's my thoughts at the moment for that movie. But that's not what so that's where I'm at right now. I just watched what was the other one? Ford versus Ferrari. I watched what was the other one? So there was a bunch of good ones. Or Bloodshot was one of them. Watched another series. damn it, I can't remember any. So a lot of Netflix ones. I've been watching a lot of the Netflix stuff, like even the Narcos and the first one, and I started the second one, which was pretty trippy. But all these movies that just came out like within the last 3 years, you know. Anyway, so it's been pretty intense ride watching all this stuff, and then so my mind's kind of tripped out on, you know, I don't know if I already talked about all this stuff, but you know. So anyway, so right now I'm painting, right? So I'm painting and in this place, and I didn't realize it till like a month ago. So a month into painting, finishing up all my paintings that I had in storage, and I had finished up all my books, finished up my music, you know, made some music videos and put a lot of stuff on YouTube, video stuff, and then like these even, and then while I was working at the Goodwill, there was a big fire, right? So the fire was in Paradise. I think I already talked about it maybe a little bit, but and it was a trip, man. That was, you know, cause yeah, I think I talked about it. So my son's mom was and her family were living there or whatever, and so she asked me to paint a painting on there of that stuff, and I didn't really want to, just because you know, it's pretty heavy as far as people's emotions and stuff like that. But I think a lot of people got paid, and so I don't really know. I've personally been on lockdown, and all this crazy stuff I've been talking about online or whatever. So for me to be talking online has been like not the best thing, but I did want to put my thoughts. You know, it's weird to be connected to these big events and to feel, to be honest, feel like a target. You know, I feel like a lot of my art's been used for some of this propaganda stuff, and I didn't realize it till, you know, I've been realizing it here and there, which is crazy, man. I can't. It's stupid, really. Honestly, I think it's stupid. I don't know what people are feeling or thinking, but you know, being treated like shit has been pissed me off. You know, so I've been using all my strength and willpower not to go crazy and to act too belligerent. But you know, I've been pretty belligerent in general. You know, not belligerent, but feeling attacked and, you know, whatever. So, you know, these people are coming at it from their perspective, you know, but in reality, so there's like a lot of other shit happening, which I think, you know, stems from racial issues, and fear from a lot of different places. Because before that, even before, like in 2012, 2011, 2009 even, like while I was working in Chico and doing stuff in Chico, you know, I got a lot of, I was getting a lot of different groups of people coming around and making comments about, not really about what is the issues at hand that people feel, but just about their, you know, other people's, you know, there's been a lot of change, and I think a lot of stuff happened, I think even in Seattle. So like Washington, so the marijuana thing was not on my radar, but it ended up being, which I've talked about already, and I guess the Mexicans from the South, you know, in the North, people were wondering if I was affiliated, and I'm not, you know. And it's funny because the joke is, you know, Mexicans have cousins, all the cousins and everybody, and so I don't know if there was an issue with my family and my family's life in the Bay Area and all the stuff. So but they were started coming around too, and kind of. So I don't know if the marijuana thing was a government plan thing or how that even came about to be a thing. Now that cancer ended up being something, right? So Okras, Okras, was a painting that I painted around 95. And I just made up a name. It was just like some abstract thing, some orange thing that was big black canvas. So it was one of my last paintings that I painted at Butte, one of the middle last ones, whatever. And so it wasn't like a big old deal, but I painted my face after and took a picture. But it was just like fucking around. The girl I was with, she went somewhere, so they had the day, and I was like, and so I painted that, and then I decided to use some of that paint because I think I got some paint on my face, so I was like, oh, so I, kind of like makeup or whatever. So, but it looked kind of like a skull-ish face, but a bunch of colors. I don't know. I liked the photo. I mean, it was a cool photo, but it wasn't meant to be anything more than just a self-portrait of the artist. So I don't know but I guess I just recently Googled it because I was like, what? Because I guess people were saying like crazy with the K or whatever. I don't know what the fuck people were saying, but so I think people have been going through my art and kind of like trying to find stuff, or maybe that was something. I mean, when I was like 16, maybe 15, I don't know. There was this girl, my cousin's family that lived over here from the Vera side, my dad's older brother's child, my cousin Val. He had a uncle, whatever, Chris Deanda, and he was married to this girl, Julie, and they had a couple kids, and he taught us, his dad was a boxer, and so they were cool, Seventh-day Adventists. They were from the Bay Area, but they lived up here. My cousin's family lived up here in Butte County for a while, so when we got up here, when I was 13, they would take us to camping and just have a good time during the weekends, during Sabbath, and but when I was 15, 16, they would come hang out and with my mom, and I got to know them. I would go to their house in Marysville, and her dad was, our grandfather, I guess, was the writer of Dune, which they're making a movie about, right? So I had no idea what Dune was. I remember them saying she had paintings of the books or something, and so I don't know if this had, but people took this story and ran with it, I guess. I don't know. Like I say, like it's kind of all weird, like alien shit and Mexican Aztec stuff. So I don't know, like, what the fear was or what the whole story was or why people even care. But I would have to say no, I was never visited by aliens. There was like this weird moment that man, I have to draw it out, but it's not, I don't think it was aliens. And it's funny because a lot of the Native Americans, I think the fear is the whole white folks are scared of Native Americans. And I mean, this stuff is all new, like the casinos and the reemergence of the 2012 thing, but then Native Americans being able to do their dances, and you know, there's a lot of fear, racial fears of the natives of this land, you know, and connected with the Mexicans and all this stuff. And then, you know, I think it has to do with reparations of what the white people have done in the past, that they're fearful that, you know, of the natives of this land, you know, like Led Zeppelin says, you know, California, the children of the sun begin to awake. And I think the Rage Against the Machine thing is, I remember one of the politicians during the Bush era was like, oh, one of my favorite bands is Rage Against the Machine, which I think he was saying, you know, they didn't like what Zach De La Roca was talking about, you know, about all this what do you call that, Matrix stuff, you know, when they did the Matrix movies. So they didn't like, so there was a lot of the stuff happening. So they did the crackdown in 2007 or something like that. I don't know when they did. The rioters, I guess, took a strike. So all this stuff, like, I don't know if it's linked, but to me it seems like it's linked. And you know, the whole housing market stuff, you know, during around that time, and the bank bailouts. So a lot of crazy stuff George Bush and all those guys are doing, implemented during that time, you know, 9/11 and all this stuff. So I don't know, and then link it to me and my life, and I don't know, like, before that even, like, I don't even know if he was president during Clinton era. Around 95, 94, I was went to the hills, in the Oakland Hills, and with the girl that I had a son with and her family, and she was pregnant, and I was painting and reading the Bible, and I had a few dreams. I had these 3 dreams of the end of the world stuff, kind of, not really the end of the world, but some kind of stuff. And so I don't know, so I think people ran with some of those ideas, and so all this stuff, right? Because I'm saying this because it's crazy, because I shit you not, I wrote in the book, I don't know, I have to show you guys, but so the Jewish people, like Quentin Tarantino, right? So Quentin Tarantino and his movies of the one where they're talk about KKK stuff, and or no, German stuff, so like Nazis. And so the people in South, or in LA, I think they've been dealing with some of this stuff, and then so they got the northern Mexicans up here, and they've been dealing with the marijuana stuff, and so there's a lot of like drug stuff happening, but you got the cancer stuff. So I don't know if the marijuana stuff has to do with the cancer stuff, but basically a lot of the drugs come from South America, I guess, and it has to do with California, but you know, there's all these states, you know, the whole country really. So watching these narco movies that Netflix made has been pretty crazy, right? So there's some kind of agenda, but I don't really appreciate my stories or my life being used in any of these stories. Like, what was that one, Mayan MC? And I'm just like, dude, like, you know, it's cool to see Mexicans on TV and Mexican Americans on TV, and you know, that's kind of what I was trying to help out in, you know, seeing. But I was thinking more like La Bamba shit, not the drug stuff. So, I mean, put the real life stuff in there, but you know, they're really just concentrating on more of the drug aspect for American history, really. I mean, but they're also concentrating on the white supremacy stuff, which the some of my art, like this one piece, was just like a 2007ish. I did some collage thing that was just messing around, but it had some Jewish thing that was, and I had a ticket of Rage Against the Machine from the time I had went with the girl in SF, and but I had seen Rage Against the Machine twice. So I went there once, and then with her second time. So I don't know if the Butte County area, when I was working at Voice, this is what really pisses me off, is that, you know, as much as I advocate for non-racist stuff, you know, or pro Chicano pride or whatever, it's not anti this or that, which is, I have to make very clear. And I'm not down, you know, I understand that people make gangs and groups, but I've never been one of the, I never had to, but I never saw the need to make it, to use violence in a group, in any group, and to hate any other group. So growing up with some of these white friends that I grew up with up here, and you know, I didn't really, you know, I'd always be like, hey, you know, don't be racist, but I was never like trying to separate, you know. So the main thing was that it was always about just being human, you know, being a human being first. So as I got older, things started changing during around all that time, and so when I did some, when I went to Butte College, I did a lot of art stuff, and I did some art shows, and I think when I got in the papers, there was some shit that happened before that. So when I was a kid, I think there was some weird shit happening when my parents moved up here, and half of it maybe was racial, and I think we got caught up in some of that. You know, we were kids, we didn't know anything about it, but I think there was some shit happening without us knowing, and I didn't know about it till recently, I guess. So this is all theory, so I'm not really sure exactly how everything fits. But as an adult, when I got invited to work with Voice, which some of these people were, I guess they know the problems, because it was during their time that, you know, that the people that ran the town and the government, the officials and the politicians and the police people and everybody, they all, you know, were doing stuff, the school system. So, you know, I thought it was weird that the school shut down that I went to before I even graduated, and then, you know, some little weird stuff that was happening involving my life, you know, involving my walk in life. So with the opportunities, like going to Butte College, first of all, came, and art school, came some other traps or other weird innuendo stuff, you know, people checking me out, or, you know, trying to see where I fit, which I think half of them were completely, not just the ones after 2007, but all the ones before 2007, I think. And as I think back on it, I'm like, dude, that's fucking pisses me off. It pisses me off, and that's why I'm putting it in these drama blogs here. But I think, you know, I don't want to be caught up in, you know, you hate white supremacists, or you want to stop these dudes from having these guns and all this whatever they're doing, but including me into that, putting my name either for or against it in any kind of government way or whatever, or even gangs or anything like that, is endangering my life, has endangered my life, like these, you know, putting misinformation about anything that I'm advocating without me plainly saying it. I'm not the kind of person, and I don't want to be the kind of person or whatever that has to hide my intentions in the world, or live a lie. So as I've went through this life, being lied to or being used in other people's plots or their games or their agendas, pisses me off. And some people say that the opportunities that have, like, turning some of my stories into movies and shit, like, even if you gave me like $5 million, which that should happen, doesn't change like 5 years of lost time. I can make my art on my own. I didn't need any motivation to make art, and I probably would have did better art and more important art than rehashing my past life and trying to explain my art to people that want to misunderstand it on purpose. It pisses me off. So, and then being recorded or whatever without my consent or knowledge is also something that has happened. And that shit's just bullshit to begin with. So, but I can't, if people really believe aliens, or if I'm like controlled by aliens or whatever the hell they want to try to make, or them the devil or whatever, that's their prejudices and they're wrong. So I'm still alive, which is very important. So this is not a perfect world. So I'm not, I know that I can't get any of the time that I've lost already, or any of the relationships that I've lost, or whatever, like, I don't need to do the cover up stuff either, like, put into a world, you can't change it. We're all in this world, so I can't change it. But I can explain it so that, so I'm not caught up in these other people's ploys and agendas. So white supremacists and all this stuff like that, yeah, like, of course, I didn't think it was cool, or never think it was cool. And if I'd made art about it, or put it in my stories or whatever, advocated pro Chicano history, that's my prerogative. But I didn't do no freaking secret government shit or undercover shit to bust anybody. So when I got invited to work at Voice, I feel that there might have been some kind of weird agenda happening there that might have been putting me in a place where, as either a decoy or a magnet, or I don't like it. And so that happened, and so I got issues now I got issues. So I'm not going to go over 50 minutes, so I got a couple minutes left. So this is part of, so Tales of Scarcity, when I was like 16, 17, also I wrote the world view of like what would happen before the story begins, of like World War III. So I went through all the continents, and I said, like what would happen in Africa and England and America, and during that time I didn't know nothing about the Middle East, so that wasn't even in the story. So, and again, I have nothing to do with like this one movie with the dude with the backpack that blows up shit. Like, dude, if you guys have an acid trip and you see fucking me as a new government or whatever, that's your own weird shit. So I'm not down with it. But, people believe what they see in the movies. People, that's fucking brainwashing. People believe this shit. So if Hollywood wants to do that weird shit and not give me props, not give me credit, not give me my place in history, if you guys are gonna use up all my stories for the fucking 5 to 10 years or whatever, like, I can put my name on the movie. But so that's, everybody that's associated with me and knows what's going on, fuck the movies that they want to make me the bad guy. But if you're taking straight from my story, my writings, and my art, like, and even my life, dude, that's fucked up. Anyway, so I wrote this Tale of Scarcity stuff, and half of the stuff some of the stuff came from my brother, like just the character designs and stuff like that. We collaborated on some of the stories, but a lot of it, I brought into it. So as far as the Earth taking revenge on humankind or cleansing itself, I brought that in. So these guys are, worried about whatever cancer. That shit, that could be just coincidence, or it could be something you think I'm psychic and you're really worried about cancer. Or is that just white people fear, or what? Like, am I a Native American that is bringing wrath? The messenger. Dude, that's your guys' shit. Like, if you guys are scared about cancer, whatever, how that have to do with me or the Native Americans? Like, or World War III. How does World War III have to do with anything that I write about? Or I'm not predicting nothing. I didn't. No entities have ever came to me and talked to me, spoke to me, or I've never had visions of anything. And this is art, dude. We're making art. And if I have, if some Native American abilities that we have, because we do, there is like gifts that Native people have, and that we have our own thing. We have our reaction to alcohol certain ways, and it's just, we're different. We're all humans, but we all have different genetics, and we all have our gifts. We look different. Look at us, So anyway, but we're all brothers and sisters, so you shouldn't take it in the negative. So in America, I wrote Race War, right? Because I was predicting, what would happen in America if shit went bad, so, like I said, World War III. Do I believe that was happening? This was when I was 16, 17. So it was just like a paragraph for each continent. And did I believe something like that would happen or will happen? No, I don't, because I don't think Nazi Germany's will happen. Has it been happening? It has been happening. It already happened. It's been happening. I think it's going the other direction, actually. So holding me to that theory or whatever, or that writing, and thinking that that's really going to be the result, is probably racist people wishing and hoping that is going to happen, which I'm here to say that that's not the reality. It already happened. The shit already happened. Like, what the hell do you think the Martin Luther King was here for? And JFK. That shit already happened. It's going the other direction, in case you haven't noticed. And the reemergence, like the Watchmen story, the reemergence of that stuff, anti-government shit. I've freely said this stuff already, and it's like, dude, for white folks that are, especially around Butte County and whatever south, there is a lot of that fucking kill the Indian, save the man shit, and I'm not down with it. I don't like it being done on me, and I don't like being controlled, and I already put my life on the line just to be an artist, so I don't like people taking my money and stopping me from making money, and I don't like covert shit. Like, I'm not dealing with racist shit. I'm not dealing with government fucking shit, Hollywood shit, fucking family shit, my own family shit. Like, everybody's got their own shit to do. I've already lived long enough to not have to deal with that shit. So I'm not gonna start now and take on burdens that are not mine. As far as my own burdens, I've been down 100%. The fact that nobody told me about stuff or nobody confronted me is proof enough that this shit was instigated and not dealt with correctly. And I have to go defend my fucking younger self, which I'm down to. But let's just do it in court of law. Like, you guys trying to fucking hang me or fucking trying to find something wrong, or you know what I mean? It's pissing me off. All these fucking locals, and it's not even just the locals. Like, they took it to the fucking full level. But fuck everybody that's work against me and try to fucking box me. And first of all, let me say praise and thank you to the people that believe in justice and believe in the law system that is written down. And it's sad that money has to do with justice, but that's the only fear that I've had, having money pay for, basically having the cards stacked against me before the game started, which is why I'm talking on here. And thank God for YouTube. I think the world can go in a better direction, and that's what I'm here for. As far as like owning up to anything that I've personally done or belief systems or whatever, dude, let's just debate. Let's have a debate in real life, and cool, our conversation in real life, like a public conversation. Having this secret shit, like, if everybody has problems, they want to do their secret shit, that's your guys' problems. I never asked anybody to talk on my behalf. I never asked anybody to do anything on my behalf. I've never asked anybody to make excuses for me in my life, ever. So everybody has to deal with their own shit. I love people that love me and have advocated for me. I appreciate you guys, and even Hollywood or government or whatever groups or whatever, like, I get it. It's an unfair fight to begin with, but love is the thing that conquers hate. You can't fight hate with hate. You can take my stories. I'm putting stuff that I'm reflecting the world, not the mirror man or whatever, but it's just, the world is what it is. And if the world done me wrong, I'd rather deal with that directly than to have shit just carry on for years and years and years and trying to protect me from the truth, or protect the world from whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that's not my belief system. My belief system has to do with dealing with shit as it is, and making it, using it to fucking grow the flowers. Like, I don't think we're just earthly beings. I believe we're souls in an earthly body, and so that's how I believe and live. So everyone else that I'm associated with in life, take it as that. Like, I'm not whatever's next is next. And to be shamed or hated or whatever, we all have our life. To have the glory, you have to have the pain and suffering. So anyway, so I'm here. I just want to let people know what I'm coming from and what I believe in. I'm gonna talk about some of my comic book stuff when I get to the shop that I'm at right now, and we'll move on from there later.